All right. Sit down. Be quiet. This is a brand new episode of How We Get Here, isn't it? And tonight, man, we're doing a review show for show, which strangely enough, man, I ain't heard anybody really talk about this. I haven't seen videos about it on YouTube, good or bad, you know what I mean? Which I think is kind of a crying shame. And Joseph, man, what are we talking about tonight? Or actually, Adrian, forget Joe. What are we talking about tonight, Governor? Because you dress for the part. Let us in
We are
on it.
we are talking about the Guy Ritchie 8-episode series of The Gentleman that is on Netflix.
Right. And man, was I so excited for this. And we'll get into it, man. I don't want to even talk about like preliminary feelings, but before we get into The Gentleman in it, does anybody have a check-in? I certainly do.
Why don't you start off, Johnny?
I watched a bunch of stuff this week, man. I watched Madam Web, which I absolutely adored, man. I thought it was so great. So much fun with it. I know Joe didn't dig it as much as I did, but like the villain with this, like, they're gonna destroy everything I built, and they literally never show anything he has, man. He's got a really rad apartment and like a hacker chick with the bitchin' like computer setup. I'm like, yep, them girls are gonna ruin your Twitch streaming career. But yeah, no, I loved Madam Web. That was excellent. I saw Argyle, which I don't hate as much as the rest of the internet, but like, oh my god, man, I kind of expected a lot better from Matthew Vaughn. You know what I mean?
I heard it was shit. I mean, I don't really believe when people say something shit, So
it kind of really is, though, man. Sam Rockwell's great in it. I really like Bryce Dallas Howard. I thought that she was pretty great. It was the writing of the movie that I thought was pretty terrible. I thought it was like the overtly just cliched twists and turns that you'd already seen in the first Kingsman movie. But that's neither here nor there. We're not here to really talk about Argyle. I just was saying that I saw it. But yeah, the big thing that I saw this week that really kicked my ass, man. Probably my favorite movie I've seen all month. The Roadhouse remake. Oh my god, did they just fucking sink that hole in it, dude? Like they did that. That is like the perfect kind of remake, in my opinion. They kind of told the story from the original one, but did it their own style, man. Jake Gyllenhaal played Dalton, but like in his own lane, man. It was kind of the same character, but like he was the way he kind of played the anger. Like he was good, man. Jake Gyllenhaal was great as always. The only kind of drawback, I'm not going to really call it that because he was still fun and the fights were great. But Conor McGregor's line delivery, he was always just talking in the same pattern. Everything he said. And it's just kind of like, I kind of wish that they remake the Leprechaun with him now, though. I think that he did, dude. I could just see him. You stole me pot of gold, and now I'm going to hit you with the fucking golf club. You know what I mean? And I'm there for that, dude. And like I was there for him in Roadhouse, but like he's gonna be the one thing that kind of drags you out of it. There's a couple scenes where it kind of seems like he's in a different movie than everybody else, but
well, he's just himself. He's in a different world. He's fine until they let him speak.
Okay. Don't say too much. I haven't seen it yet because I'm really looking forward to this because I love the original Roadhouse. Like I've watched that thing about a bazillion times, right? And it was funny with the original Roadhouse, right? I always watched it when it was on like TBS or whatever, right? So it was like slightly edited for TV. And then like, was it like a year ago? I finally watched like the proper or whatever.
I used to fuck guys like you in prison.
Yeah. And then you actually ripped the guy's throat out too. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was a bit of a shocker. So that renewed my love for that movie even more so.
Yeah, I think if you're like I was telling Joe, if you're a fan of the original, man, I think you'll dig this new one. I think they do it faithful enough and different enough that you'll have a ball with it. You know what I mean? It's a pretty good Roadhouse movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's not bad. I watched it this afternoon. I finished work early today, so I put it on while I was working on the intro and shit for the show. So yeah, it's pretty good. I like Jake Gyllenhaal, so
yeah, he's always good, in my opinion.
Yeah. What do you think about the talk of him being Bruce Wayne?
No.
Right? No. Yeah.
I'm not no. I see him more like when he was younger, maybe as Dick Grayson.
Mm-hmm.
Like an older, like Nightwing type thing. I could see him like that, but not as Bruce Wayne. No.
Yeah, he's too good at being snarky and quippy. Like Oliver Queen, I think he'd be a bitch in Arrow if they did Green Arrow in live action. He's got that kind of personality to me. Like I think
What about Iron Fist? If he was younger, maybe.
yeah, he could do Danny Rand really well. I
Danny
think he could
Rand,
probably
yeah.
now at his age he could probably be Tony Stark really good. He's like got that kind of snark ability to him, especially if you watch him in Roadhouse. He's kind of doing a Marvel superhero type character ish.
What?
You know what I mean? He's not as silly, you know what I mean? But
what superhero has buggy eyes? He has got very buggy eyes. Like, you know, like just get a superhero that has the buggy eyes and just give it to him.
When they first showed him, when he first shows up and he's got his hood over, I thought like he kind of looked like he could probably play Daredevil if Charlie Cox wasn't already the perfect.
No. You know what? No.
Yeah, because he'd be wearing the shades all the time. You never see his eyes, so you wouldn't have to worry about the buggy eyes.
I don't know. I think Jake Gyllenhaal, he's too much like he's Jake Gyllenhaal, right? So I don't know if I could really like separate, the character from Jake Gyllenhaal at this point, right? I probably got a better chance of Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Then he would fit perfect into the MCU and the DCU because that's all they do is cast fucking actors that don't actually play the characters. They just play them fucking selves.
He was already Mysterio, and I thought he was really good. Like,
yeah, he's okay. Yeah.
That was my favorite of the Mr. Stark Spider-Man movies.
Fucking hell.
I like the whole Night Monkey stuff. I thought that was great. I thought the Night Monkey should have had his own spin.
Oh, I know I don't watch trailers, but it happened to fall on something I was watching, and it was a commercial during the streaming. Was it the Monkey King?
Monkey Man.
Oh, Monkey Man. Yeah, that looks good.
Monkey Man. Yeah, that looks pretty good.
That was fucking
from
rad.
The trailer.
Right? It looks like Bollywood John Wick. Fuck, I'm all over that.
That's exactly what it is.
Fire it up, yeah.
Well, they've been putting out some bangers like that. Have you guys seen RRR?
No, I know what you're talking about though.
It's a Bollywood action film. It's just like, oh, dude, the effects are so good in it, though, man. It's a feast for the eyes. You know what I mean? It's pretty fun, and like, there's no singing in it. That's what a lot of people are usually worried about when it comes to Bollywood movies, and like, yeah, you don't got to worry about it in that one. So
that's good.
What? Anybody else like? I'll watch or read anything they kind of want to talk about?
Go ahead, Joe.
Yep, I've got. I cracked this open, read the first 2 issues of the volume 2 of the Peter David X Factor. I've been wanting to read this for a while because it's been. This is a critically acclaimed run. So I remember I wasn't reading Big 2 at the time when this came out, but on all the sites, this was always like one of the top rated books. Every time I'd go on the sites and check to see what was going on. So it got my.
It's literally one of the greatest books Marvel's ever published, man. It's up there with Brubaker's Captain America.
This actually came in. The slipcase Grendel signed by Matt Wagner.
Nice.
So,
what's the cover look like when you slip it out?
Slip it out, Joe.
Okay, it's got the
regular Joe. All the way, Joe. There you go.
Devil's in the Deed, and that's the original stuff from Comico, right? The stuff that Wagner actually drew, the kind of manga looking.
I'm not good at that. I don't normally pull out, so I need to work on my technique. My pull-out technique is not up to par. That's a young man's game.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, sorry, Johnny. What else? I went and tried to, because Crackle doesn't exist anymore, and they actually came out with a Snatched TV series that ran for 2 seasons. So I went and scavenged the internet to try to see if I could find an illegal streaming for that. Now I've gotten in the mood after watching The Gentleman. I want to rewatch Snatch, because I think I only watched the first season. I didn't watch the second, so I want to go through that and watch the 2 seasons of that. So,
was that actually like made in England? Did Guy Ritchie have anything to do with that?
Yeah. He wrote it. I don't think he directed any of it, but he wrote all the episodes.
When was that?
That was on Crackle in 2016-17, I believe.
Fucking hell, I don't even recall this.
Well, it was on Crackle. That's why Crackle doesn't even exist anymore.
I was gonna say, what the fuck is Crackle? It's like an old man.
It was a free. It's like Tubi, except for original programming. It was all free.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah, it was all free. But I think
The only thing I really remember them making is Joe Dirt Part 2. Like they made that and produced it.
They tried, but
Yeah,
they had
I
a
think
few
I got
original-
just the story in Joe Dirt 1. I think that was. I got it.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
What else? I watched. Is it called Extraordinary? Season 2.
Season 2.
Yeah, I watched that. That was pretty good. I really enjoyed that.
We're gonna hit that this weekend, so I'm looking forward to it. I love season 1.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, what's his name? Sperms?
Jizzlord?
Jizzlord, that's it. Jizzlord.
Yeah. Good name. That's just good writing.
Yeah. What else? Oh, Poor Things. Is that what it's called with Emma Stone?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Tits and Ass don't only sell comics; they win you Oscars. So there you go.
That was a fuck fest. Like that was just like it got to a point where like, oh, for fuck, you just like, okay, I get it, right? So yeah, it was good. I liked it. I like Poor Things a lot. But
it was visually, it was very like the sets, the costumes. It was visually an entertaining movie. Visually,
it was
are we talking like Ken Russell or like Caligula, like sex, like or.
This is basically like if Wes Anderson got his first piece of ass. That's what this movie feels like to me. I don't know. It's a more grit. It's a gritty Wes Anderson movie for me, I guess.
I never thought of that like that, but like, yeah, Wes Anderson's still a virgin. Wow.
But it definitely gave me vibes like if Maria Lovett ever gets a book that's adapted, get the people that made this movie to do her like a book adapted by her, because it definitely gave off like she always has that weird edge or like borderline surreal aspect to her books, and this definitely like surreal with incorporated the sexual content, and it gave me like Maria Lovett vibes like the whole way I was watching it. I was like, yeah, man, this like if someone told me this was based off one of her books, I'd have been like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, what else? I think that's it. I think that's all I have. Yeah. Oh, I watched the 2 first episodes of X-Men, the animated series. Actually, yeah. It was all right. No complaints here. I thought it was good.
Tell you, it just renewed my love of Cyclops. Man, they did him so proper in those first 2 episodes.
Yeah, he isn't so much a cuck in this.
So, like, do you need to know where the last series left off? Because I literally haven't seen it since like 1997.
No,
I didn't know.
Okay, so you can just jump into it. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Just right into it.
They put everything into context, so you're not lost.
Hey Johnny, hey Randy, how you guys doing? Everybody in the chat, how you guys doing on this fine Friday evening? On this fine Friday evening.
So did I steal yours, Adrian? Was that it? Was it going to be the X-Men?
Fucking did. Yeah, I have my mental notes going the whole time you were talking. So, that's okay. You know what? So what I see this week, apart from the X-Men, whatever, I mentioned to you guys I saw Wonka.
Oh,
and I planned on hating it, right? Because I don't know that Timothy Chalamet. I don't know what it is about him. It's just something kind of punchable about him. But fuck man, I ended up watching it like twice in 2 days. Like it was really good. Like it was just really catchy. Like the tunes and that, and Hugh Grant's Oompa Loompa was fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
He sounds like a dish they'd cook on the Bear, man. Like this is Timothy Chalamet.
Mel had the same opinion as you. She was like kind of not expecting much, and she ended up really liking it. So totally
surprised me. Yeah. So So I'll probably end up watching it again this weekend.
That's kind of how I was with the James Franco Wizard of Oz movie. Like when that came.
I love the Franco Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, that was great, right? Yeah.
Seriously,
it was all right.
That. Yeah, not too bad.
It was all right. It was all right.
It
wasn't bad.
So, it was good, isn't it? It was good, isn't it? Or
good, isn't it?
In it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's all I'm checking in with. So, because I'm.
Oh, actually, I was watching Rock and Roll just before we got on. I was rewatching that because I love
Rock and Roll. I honestly, and it's funny because I always hold a grudge with these things. So at the end of Rock and Roll, in the credits they say, something like we'll be back with the real Rock and Roll or something like that. So he was like, whatever. I've been waiting. I love Rock and Roll. That's probably my favorite Guy Ritchie movie.
Right with you, dude. That's my favorite too, dude. And it would probably be an easy one for him to do a show with actually most of the cast. I could see him maybe having trouble with getting Tom Hardy back to be Handsome Bob, but I can see.
I bet you he could. I bet you he could. And it's funny with the gentleman, which we'll get into right away. It's just like I can see this being like a whole thing for Guy Ritchie. I mean, really, like he can dive into like any of his gangster related movies.
Like if Netflix was smart, they would lock him into like a what's his name?
Zack Snyder type deal. Or that guy too. But
or Mark Millar.
Flanagan or whatever his name is, Finnegan or
Walt Flanagan, the dude.
Whatever, the guy who did the Fall of the House of Usher. He did like 4 series of movies that were kind of in a similar world. Like they should just have Guy Ritchie do that. Like he did The Gentleman, do whatever. Just have him do 4 series like that. Because those were all super successful for Netflix. And
then cross them all over because I always wanted to see like, and it would be funny to see Jason Statham play several roles. I'd like to see Bacon and Turkish have to run into each other. You know what I mean? I would love to see like characters from the movies interact because like I always felt like they were just in a neighborhood away from each other. You know
he could easily do that. He could easily do crossovers, right? Really, with Lock, Stock, with Snatch, with Rock and Rolla, The Gentleman. I'm missing one too. There's Revolver. Revolver was
that doesn't really count.
That was in the States, right? I think that was like in Vegas, wasn't it? The setting.
I think it took place in England, but like he was against Ray Liotta, and that was like his weird art house film. You know what I mean? That was like him.
Yeah, I was when Ray Liotta was like tanning in that room.
I liked Rock and Roller for what it. I mean, I liked Revolver for what it was, but at the same time, I was kind of like, don't do it again, guy. You weren't super good at it, but like it was fun that you tried to make your David Lynch movie, and you did a better job than a lot of other people do. You know what I mean? In my opinion, he really did with Revolver.
At least Guy Ritchie tried other things. You know what I mean? Like,
I like his other movies. I like the King Arthur. I know that's
King Arthur. I was about to say that, right? No one's gonna say bad. Swept Away. I guarantee no one's gonna say Swept Away.
That's actually one of the 2 movies of his I don't like. I don't like Aladdin and I don't like Swept Away. But like everybody. My opinion,
you blew my mind, Johnny. My mind just almost self-destructed when he told me fucking Guy Ritchie directed Aladdin. I was like, what?
One night
I did not know that.
I told him that, and so Joe should have kitten, dude, because he had to actually look it up. He didn't believe me at first.
I didn't believe him. I was like, what?
At least he's trying it, right? He's giving it a go.
Oh, I was just stunned. Like, never in a million years would if. Guess who directed this? If you didn't know. Never. Guy Ritchie would not be at the top of my list.
Well, he
took like when you hear about Brad Pitt doing bubblegum commercials in Japan or something, right?
Well, when he used the money that he made from Aladdin to like make I think Wrath of Man,
Gentleman,
and Gentleman,
yeah, Gentleman was a good movie. I really enjoyed that one.
So should we get into it? I guess.
Yeah.
All right.
From the movie to the show, let's go.
I actually kind of thought that the show would tie more into the film, but they're actually completely different universes. I don't think that they're meant to cross over whatsoever, really, aside from having situational convergences. You know what I mean? Like there are certain situations that are similar, but otherwise, like I think that they're 2 completely different universes, right? Which was a bit of a shock, but like I'm actually okay with at the same time.
Well, no, I think it is connected. So obviously, Matthew McConaughey's character, Mickey
Pierce,
isn't like in the whatever, but the same setup is whatever because Mickey had like in the movie there was like a duke or a lord that on his property had a grow op, right? Because that's where they're talking about the roof and all that, right? And it's funny that the talk about the roof in the movie was actually brought up in episode 1 of The Gentleman, right?
So you think it was the father that was in the movie?
No, I don't think
like a continuation.
Because in the show that they say there's 13 houses, right, that have the grow ops.
So it
could have been anybody, right? So by the end of the movie, The Gentleman, Mickey never sold the business, right? I mean,
no, he was going to, but like what Dry Eye and that other guy did, I forget what the little Weasley
Oh,
guy.
yeah, okay, yeah.
What they did made him want to stay in. Yeah.
We'll see, but you know, you can easily like say between the end of the movie to the beginning of the series, you can easily say that the Glass family at some point bought Mickey's empire, right? Because he had a number, he was talking about whatever, so that can be that could be sorted out in a quick flashback, right? With Ray Winston's character meeting up with Matthew McConaughey and brokering a deal and done, right? Because near the end of the Gentleman, Ray Winston's character is talking to Edward and Susie about expanding and building the empire, right? So it kind of almost feels like it's still a young company.
Yeah. So if people haven't seen this, what's the story? It's
basically it's about Edward, who's kind of like the second in line, and he's kind of just off being a captain in the military, and like he runs a very tight ship, but like he's very understanding and lenient with everybody. Like I love this scene where they kind of just show him at work at the beginning, and he's just kind of like, "Oh sir, there's a problem with the villages," and he's just like, "Okay, well you tell that guy to go that way and that guy to go this way because we're not having any bollocks tonight." You know what I mean? And he's very very good at resolving problems. It's kind of what you learn really early on with him. And then basically he ends up being told he's got to go home because his dad's died. And basically the will's being doled out. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, he gets an inheritance, right? He's the one who's got it passed down, and along with the inheritance comes the crime. So he's kind of dragged into this crime world, and that's kind of what kicks this whole series off. Is not only does he inherit a fortune, but he inherits the Glass family's operations that are his father kind of made a deal to have on their land, and that's how this whole. And the older brother is a tradition to pass it down to the eldest brother, but he gets passed over for Eddie, and that's where all the craziness begins. Because
Freddie, I love Freddie.
Freddie is your typical fuck up. And man, that's
I wouldn't say he's
so good.
typical, man. I'd say he's pretty extraordinary with the lengths that he fucks up, man. Like he is a standout fuck up in my opinion.
The chicken scene was it was almost excruciating watching this guy be absolutely humiliated, and
Pat, we were watching it and Pat's like, she's like, fuck, I don't know I don't know how much longer this scene's lasting. I don't know if I can sit through it all. She found it so intense, she had a hard time watching it.
It wasn't comfortable. It was very well done. Like I was happy that Guy Ritchie did those first couple episodes. I kind of wish he handled the ending too. You know what I mean? I kind of wish that he was there to direct that too. But we'll get to that when we get to it.
Yeah, it's that character is one of my favorite characters, and you knew it was coming. And man, I wish he could have had more screen time. Is Tommy Dixon, played by Peter Serafinowicz. Wicks.
He's the guy who played the Tick, right?
The Tick, the Amazon. He is fantastic, and he was fantastic in this.
He had a great accent too.
Oh yeah, so good, good, and like the chicken scene with him, and and typical of Guy Ritchie, right? The music the soundtrack he chooses for each scene. Like after that happens, the kid counting the money, the whole out in the woods with the freaking that fucking song Jethro with the song when they're chasing him and just the scenes and it's so good. And then let's go through the cast, right? We have Theo James, who plays Eddie, who is the younger brother. Probably seen him in sequels to Underworld. He was in the Insurgents series, the trilogy with I forget her name. What else was he in?
He was in the Divergent,
Divergent, he was in that.
Detergent is what I call it,
Detergent.
And he was the Vampire Prince in Underworld 3 and 4.
Then you have a character called Susie Glass, who is becomes Eddie's partner in crime. She helps.
Guardians of the Galaxy, right? The first one.
I'm not sure, but she's like the she helps guide him through this getting his feet wet in the crime world, which is played by Kaya Scandelario. She was pretty good in it. I thought she was fantastic.
She did a pretty
then
good
you
job playing a posh gangster girl. She was almost as
Yep.
good as the lady in the movie, man. Like I think that the
Yeah.
lady that was in the movie was slightly better at that kind of character, but just
oh, she was very good. Then you have one of my favorite characters, who was Freddie, the eldest son, played by Daniel Ings. Fantastic, great in this role. He wears many hats, and his character just loves it too. Like just the personas he comes up with to like portray himself. Like
the Russian,
the big gambler at the fight, like the guy who knows everything about.
Yeah.
It's a sure thing. Yeah. Then you have I don't know, what else has he been in? Have you seen him? Remember him from anything else?
that's the first time I've seen him.
He's right here on the podcast with us. He's just pretending he doesn't have a British accent, man. He's wearing a tracksuit like he's in the goddamn Russian mob over here.
Then you have the mother. He was in what?
He was in the Marbles, apparently.
Okay. Very possible.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I have to watch that again. Was he the prince from the Singing Land?
No, the prince was.
Oh my god.
Was Asian.
Yeah, that's right. He was.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah. No. I was getting like some bad flashbacks from that. The singing. Then you have Jolie Richardson, who plays the mother, Lady Sabrina. You probably know her mainly from her role as the wife in Nip Tuck. Then, of course, you can't have a Guy Ritchie movie without Vinnie Jones. He plays the caretaker. Great. He was fantastic. And then let's see
Ray Winston.
Yeah, Ray Winston.
Yeah, Ray Winston plays the. What's his first name? Glass. Whoops.
Was it Bobby?
Yeah, Bobby Glass, I think.
Was it Bobby Glass?
Bobby. Is it Bobby? Where is he? He's pretty far on the list here.
Who played Jimmy, Joe? He looked like the actor that played King George actually in the movie, but he was way too young.
Michael Vu.
Michael Vu. He was great though, man. He was with all his innits and his stoner shit, man.
Then you have, of course, from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul fame is Giancarlo Esposito. Yeah, he was in it. Bobby Glass. Yeah. So those are your main players. There's a bunch of other actors that come and go. Like the brother who boxes is played by Harry Goodwins. He's got a pretty prominent role in there.
I like that you played Michael Collins.
The one who plays who?
Michael Collins. He's the one who fixed the fight.
Henry Collins.
Sorry.
Oh yeah. That's Max Beasley.
So I thought it was Rick Astley, man. I thought he was going to break into "Never Gonna Give You Up, Never Gonna Let You Down." He held
a vampire, man. He looks the same.
You have Pierce Quigley, who played Gospel John, who is a pretty interesting character. Then you have Chanel Cresswell, who plays Thomasina. That's Freddie's wife. She has a pretty good role when they go to the car. I was
actually really happy with her character. I thought that they were going to make her like an annoying like wife that complained all the time.
She went along with it. She just like
she's a gangster. Yeah.
And then Mercy, the one with the machete.
Oh yeah. The Asian girl that
the coke dealer. Yeah, the coke
vicious. Yeah. Oh, then you get the guy, the cook, the botanist. He has a pretty big role too. What's his name? I don't know where he is. I can't find him here. Anyway,
Jimmy.
Oh, we're just talking about the character Jimmy.
Yeah.
Michael Vu.
Vu, is that it? Okay.
Vu, V-U. Yeah.
Yeah, he was pretty good, like a peace and love, like of the earth type
I mean, he
Yeah.
looks just like the guy that played King George, like in the movie, man. Like I wonder if he's his kid. I didn't never looked him up, but
Yeah.
thought it
So,
was him. I'm like,
I think that pretty much covers all the main players.
Hmm.
Mercy, it's Martha Milan who plays Mercy.
Yeah, she was great. She was great. Yeah, when she started hacking up that server, whatever, Tony Blair.
Oh yeah.
oh yeah, and the reason why they're all named Tony Blair too. That fucking Guy Ritchie and his weird little stings like that, man.
Oh, you know that's his MO, right? Like the names, like he's just fucking brilliant with some of these names, right? Like,
Yeah. So that's pretty much the cast right there. So.
So
Yeah.
I mean, like this show has some pretty good twists and turns. I did not expect it to go full fucking Garth Ennis in episode 4, man. When like they straight up had Hitler's ball, like in a bar, like that was like straight out of like Adventures in the Rifle Brigade or something out of Garth Ennis's earlier career, man. Like I did not expect that to pop up in the show, and man, was I just bawling when that happened, man. That was hilarious.
well, let's kind of like in episode 4, let's kind of rewind a bit to when the tour bus pulls up to that mansion.
Yes.
And they're chased out by, honestly, the biggest
The old
donkey
man.
dick I've ever seen on an old man. Like, and it's like, and I've not seen my fair share of old man dick, but this was like, this thing was fucking swinging for the fences. Like it was almost like, I don't know, they just like bought that prosthetic from Boogie Nights and just, extended it. Like, kind of threw me off for, quarter of the show.
Lord Whitecroft, Nigel Havers.
That's how the second episode started, right? Like that was the begin. Yeah, no lizards in this house.
Or was it? Oh no, it's David Gant. Sorry, Sir Lord Basington.
And that scene is so great too, because like it's a serene thing that like the tour started. That like they're looking at like all the great antiquities of the house and stuff.
Yeah,
and like that naked old guy just comes out the balcony and like got a shotgun and oh man,
and what is it?
On the front steps. Yeah,
is it episode 3 where he goes to the house to find the passport?
No, that was later on. That was like.
And I love how he's there talking on the phone. All of a sudden, in the background, you see the guy. They don't set it up.
Sorry. Yeah, that was episode 2.
So you don't know. You're like, what? Like, at first you're like, there's no setup. Usually, like shows or movies will be like, okay, there's this other person here, so they set up that there's danger. But he doesn't do that. He doesn't set the scene up. So you're there, and you're like, is this like, did they miss something in editing where there's someone in the background and they just didn't catch it and they put it in anyway? But then it comes, and I just love that, like how you're like, there's someone outside, and then you realize, okay, then it sets the scene up perfectly, and it's that whole scene was fantastic too.
I think my biggest takeaway really was how Edward just went with it. You know what I mean? He wasn't like that typical where it's like, oh, I don't know, and he's forced into situations. He just got into it. Like it was just like, and it kind of sort of summed it up. At the end there when Freddie was relaying that story when they're kids, and the dad took him out hunting, and how Freddie, took a shot, and whatever. And just one other thing too, the way that he kind of delivered this line, he goes, I got it, right? Just kind of like how he sort of whatever, but I couldn't finish it off, right? And he's saying how the father brought in Edward just slit the throat like it was nothing.
Without hesitation, yeah.
Without hesitation, basically Freddie saying like, like you were born to do this kind of thing. And that was one thing that really got me, is like how Theo James's character was just so calm and so confident, and just, you had confidence in the character, right? And
but he was the character I was most concerned about. Like going into it, like when I saw the cast, I was like, Theo James, I don't know.
Yeah, same.
I don't know. I was like, I've never seen him actually carry or be super charismatic, but man, I think he pulled it off in this. He did a fantastic job.
Yeah, him and the actress played Susie. Like they played off each other so well. They're both very stoic, and it's interesting too. It's like not once that you kind of felt a bit of like any like type of romantic kind of vibe or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I didn't really feel like we were gonna kind of get to that cliche kind of moment between the two. Like they just felt like just business partners, and so it was nice not having that hanging around.
Yeah,
that's true. That's
Yeah,
true.
that is an
Yeah.
albatross in most stories, man. And
There was no romantic. Yeah, there was no romantic, like underlying story there at all, or anything, which was cool.
The only romance really was between the mother and Vinnie Jones's character.
Yes,
you did get that one shot though when they were partying with the pikey or the gypsies or the travelers, whatever.
Yeah,
the pikeys. Yeah,
where they kind of showed that Eddie and her did bang, man. Like it was no offense or buts about it in one
do you
shot.
think so?
Under heavy influence, though. That's what I told Pat. I was
Maybe.
like,
I don't know. Yeah,
I was like,
really...
rewatch
this
that
is it.
episode, man. Like they skip over it really fast, but like it looked.
They do like kind of have a moment really quick where they flash where they kiss.
Okay,
they look like they're in a bit more of an embrace than just kissing, man. They look like they're about to get into it, man.
I love how he included the gypsies.
Yeah,
in this, right? A little bit of nod to Snatch.
Oh, well, that's another thing.
Man, he kind of touched on like winked and nodded a little bit. He had
everything.
He had the hammerlock shotguns from Lock Stock. He had travelers like Snatch. He kind of had he didn't have a rock star, man. I think that's all that was missing, man. Like he didn't really have a Johnny Quid character, kind of.
They could have easily. They really could have easily.
You had the illegal fights.
Yeah.
Snatch-ish, but that was also in the Gentleman movie too. Remember what's his name?
Yeah, he has a gym. Yeah,
the boxing gym, and the fighters actually more broke into places and did dance videos or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Underground fighter, but boxes of bush.
But so he definitely a lot of nods to all his movies, which was fantastic. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
You had the gambling, right? The brother. Didn't he lose some money in gambling? So you have that aspect, the gambling.
Lock Stock, that they had
you had the fixed camera shot like from the waist up. You had that one where he loses the like in Lock Stock when he loses and they have the fixed. They had one scene. Yeah, they had one scene like that. Like I told Pat, it's not a Guy Ritchie joint unless you get montage to a drunk scene with and they had that, they had a whole which was great. I was like, it's got to come. And when they got to the house and started drinking, I said, oh, it's going to be this episode, and sure enough it was. He picked the song, and
it's funny though, with the music, I guess I wasn't as connected to the music in the series as you were, like, because maybe because there wasn't really anything like that was like so like that I really knew.
There was no golden oldies to it. Like everything was
it was really
grime rap. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I mean, like, it kind of felt a little held back. That was the only thing that was probably my biggest beef with the Gentleman series. It's just like I was kind of missing. I was missing that soundtrack.
You were missing like the soul music, and then like a little bit of like some grungy punk rocky type
some
stuff.
Iggy Pop in there, just something, something like memorable that I'm like, gonna hop on iTunes and look up right away, right? But there's nothing that made me want to do that. So that was like my biggest knock, which is kind of a minor thing.
Vinnie Jones, loved his character.
Yeah, he's always good though, man. But like this was probably the best I'd seen them actually like dedicate like having a good like role built around him. And I think he was one of the highlights of the film. Like next to Freddy, I think that he was probably one of the most watchable things. Even though I thought that kind of towards the end of the show they made his story arc a little lame, I still thought that like he was pretty one of the best parts of the show, man. I just enjoy his.
Well, why the little precious moment?
Yeah, I kind of like that actually. I like that little bit of tenderness.
I liked it. Yeah, I liked it too. Like he comes off as this hard man, but in the end,
I think they overdid it a little bit. I think that they could have just had the daughter realize that like we're giving away twists, but I didn't think she needed to be pregnant for like the scene to be as poignant and as touching as it was.
I don't know. I kind of like the whole pregnancy. It just humanized him even more, right? Because because we grew up watching Vinnie Jones in like a hardened type, whatever. Like when we first saw him in Lock Stock, right, where he played Chris, and he was like that hitman, even though he had a son, right? But he was still whatever. Then his role in Snatch and all that, and he's always played like a tough guy. But to kind of see him placed in a more grounded type character, and then to see that when the sister comes back from college and she's pregnant, and just to kind of see his face, right? You know, like Vinnie Jones is acting, really. You know what I mean? Like this is the first time I can say he's acting, and it's just to see his reaction, his subtle reaction, and then the fact that they never, between him and you know his daughter, I guess we'll say now, how they never outright said, oh, I'm your father, you're, you know, blah blah blah. They never said it. You know what I mean? But you know, basically at the end when she kind of said something like, I'll never be embarrassed of you or something like that, right? It was just a little, it was just, I don't know, I just love it.
I got the greatest man she's ever known. Like,
there was just
some softness to a hard story, you know.
There was just some of these kind of like smaller side stories that got resolved, where like there was some that like I was really interested in that they just dropped like midstream, like Freddy's Superweed. Like I wanted to see where that went. And like they never, I like, what the fuck? Like they dropped that. They carried on I found Henry Collins's whole story arc to be pretty pointless. It didn't need to be in the show. I didn't really care about the brother or like needing some other generic Rick Astley ass looking villain. So I didn't. And like I'm like, man, I would want to see what Jimmy and Freddie came up with the Superweed. That was cool. They kept bringing it up, and then all of a sudden they just dropped it, and they were like, nope, we're gonna focus on this fight promoter guy. And I'm like,
yeah, it's like the gospel just kind of went away, right?
When that's it. I was gonna mention that.
Yeah,
fantastic character.
Great
the brother
character.
Too.
He just disappeared.
Yeah, and for like 3-4 episodes,
right? Yeah, then they brought it in to replace him with some generic ass dude that didn't need to be in the show.
See, that's the thing with Guy Ritchie, though, right? It's like he has every gangster type, whatever. He always has a lot of characters and a lot of storylines, right? So it's just
but usually they tie him up a lot better, man.
They do. But yeah, this one, like I said, I think he's kind of walked away from a couple storylines. You know, said fuck it, you know, we'll just whatever.
I'm hoping that he thought that like, oh, we'll do that in season 2. We'll address it, but like that's the Netflix shows. Most of them never get a season 2, no matter how good they are. And as great as this show is, nobody's talking about it. I'd be surprised if this gets a season 2.
24.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a one and done. Unless Netflix throws some money at them, I think this is it. It's one and done season.
Well, I don't know what the ratings were like. I don't know if they had a big crowd or not checking it out.
They should, because it's a fantastic show.
Yeah, I just think it's being slept on. Like I did just have some criticisms thrown at it, but that's just healthy criticisms. I'm not trying to dog on this show at all. I like those are just normal things that I would hope any fan would point out. I'm not trying to, you know what I mean? Shit on the capacity. Just saying.
There's something I want to touch on about the Vinnie Jones character is, you know, how he plays the hard guy, but I love how they played into his softer side where every hurt animal he nursed back to health and kept them. So you had his softer side right there. They developed it right away, right? He has like a fox, a porcupine.
Yeah, the fox. He's hired to like get rid of the foxes.
Yeah. Is that a fox, Jeff? Yes, it is. Aren't you supposed to keep the foxes out? Yeah. That scene when Jimmy wakes up in his cabin, though, man, and
it's staring at him. Oh, fantastic! Like I loved it. I love like it's just a great like little. And then like when they're reading out the will and like the dog, he's the one who takes the dog. You know, he takes care of the dog because he's just got that. Like he's the caretaker of the entire family, really. He's like their guardian angel, right? He looks over them and makes sure nothing bad happens to them. So.
Yeah, because even as
humanity to the story, really, you know, and basically a story full of just degenerates, really, you know, just really awful people. But
and even as on point as Edward is, man, like Vinnie Jones, like everybody would get away. Like all the bad guys would have escaped. Vinnie Jones helped him catch everybody, you know what I mean? Like he really came up with the battle plans and the fortifications, so he was the linchpin.
Well, a character I loved was Felix, played by Dar Salim. Oh my god, the disposal guy, the cleanup guy.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Felix, so good. I love that guy.
He's sitting there drinking, right?
Oh, you know, that's the bar. that's the bar that he always shoots. He always has a scene at that bar, at that pub. And all and like I think Lock, Stock, and Snatch. I think there's each one of those movies has a shot where that pub is. So I think that's like his spot. That when he was growing up, he'd go and have pints there, and he puts it in a lot of his movies and stuff.
I was super excited to see that actor show up in the show because I really liked him in Guy Ritchie's The Covenant, and like I was really cool that like he's going to carry that guy over and maybe use him in like his gangster movies now, which is pretty cool.
You had a lot of confidence in Felix, right? You know what I mean? Like you just knew shit, right? And I love too how when Eddie, Edward went to go get the passport and then took out that thug, didn't go through Susie. He just right away called Felix, right? He's like, I took care of it. I called Felix, right? Just like that.
But they set that up right in the opening scene of the movie where he's the one who's in charge of the UN or whatever. Like everyone comes to him with all the problems, and he's like, "Do this, do that." Yeah. So you see, he's a guy that's can think on his feet, quick, solve problems, right? So they already established that right in the opening scene of the show that this guy is, he knows how to take care of problems. Yeah.
I kind of feel bad they offed Jethro though.
Yeah, as soon as you saw Felix on the back of the butt, I was like, "Oh man, this is going to end badly. Like that's not going to do anybody any good." Like,
do you think Edward overreacted when he found out that Susie had Jethro taken out?
No, I would have been pissed too, man. Yeah. Fuck that. That kid wouldn't have told nobody. He would have went to Amsterdam and.
See, that one kind of threw me off a bit because, like I said, because Edward, like up to that point, he was just sort of like he went with the flow. He kind of knew. It's like he got the business right away. He knew what had to be done and all that, and the downfalls and the risks and all that. So like I said, I was a little surprised by that. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know if it was more he was just like it was a trust thing or it was just because he couldn't have that much connection to Jethro. I mean, Jethro's
it was sneaky, man. Like if they were going to be cruel like that, they should have just killed him outright in front of him. You know what I mean?
But they told him that's what they should have done. Like Felix said right away, you gotta take care of the witness, right?
Yeah.
Well, then they couldn't have let him think that he got away. I mean, well, then he wasn't supposed to find out that, but he should have known that they were going to kill him. It's a dumb fucking point of the show, but you knew it was just going to end badly. You know what I mean? And that's why they did that stinger of showing Felix on the boat, so you'd have that, man, this is going to get shitty. Or not, I mean, for the characters, not for the plot or anything like that. Mm-hmm. They're going to fight.
Another performance that wasn't bad, was Giancarlo Esposito. I mean,
he was just kind of there, right? He
played himself.
He played who he always plays, though.
Yeah. Since Breaking Bad, he's played the same fucking character for everything. In the Star Wars, it's the same fucking. It's
totally
the same character.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, in Breaking Bad, he actually showed up, man. Like he put some zing into the character. He pronunciated things. He was a little more snarky.
Yeah, but he's been doing that ever since, though, right? It's like
ever since then, it's been that character ever since.
But it's like almost thinking like I think I almost would have rather had Jeffrey Wright in that role, right? Because at least Jeffrey Wright, he can kind of he can vary things up. By the way, have you? Side note: American Fiction. I don't know if you've seen it yet. You have to watch American Fiction.
I've heard about it. Yeah,
I've heard of it.
Brilliant. Oh, it's a brilliant show.
But I mean,
So Giancarlo Esposito. Yeah, like I said, I love him. And I mean, there was a time where there was rumor of him, playing Professor X, right? And it came up again not too long ago, and Denzel Washington playing Magneto, and I was kind of excited about that. But like I said, just the more I see him, the more it's like I know what I'm going to get, right?
Yeah,
I think that him doing his character in this, he'd actually be pretty good as Professor X, though, doing his.
He probably would.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess my only thing with that though is if Denzel was in the Magneto role, how does that play into the whole Holocaust, backstory of
that's
a major thing, right? That's really his,
that's the thing is to have characters that lived through that. They'd either have to make it a timepiece or they'd have to have these characters. They'd have to have super ancient actors playing them, which that's the problem. Like Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen, you can't have. So they're going to have to update it, and the civil rights struggle is the next cognitive struggle that had that type of bearing where people were being blown down the street with fire hoses and stuff like that by American cops. So I can understand why they would decide to go with people of color instead of having them as Yiddish Americans or Hebrew Americans, however you'd like to put that.
Randall's got a really good question here. If Jethro had to go, why was Jimmy's girlfriend still breathing? I totally agree, right?
Or Jimmy himself still alive.
Or Jimmy himself. Honestly, I would expect Susie to like knock him out both when they arrange that meeting in the park, right?
Well, I think Jimmy's like he's so innocent
smart.
and loyal. He's loyal. Yeah, exactly. He's
but he gave out her address, right?
Yeah, he actually gave her where she lived. Like nobody would live through that.
Yeah.
He's a liability. I think Jimmy should have got gassed.
If Jethro got killed, then Jimmy definitely should have. Yeah.
And even Jethro was like, I didn't see anything, right? Like Jethro right away was like, fuck, I
got
didn't see
it.
anything.
That guy's a piece of shit. I'm not sad he died. He literally said that several times. Like Jethro was down for he was not sad that what's his name? Dwayne Binsey from Space got shot, or what was his name in Guardians of the Galaxy? Like that guy. Fuck-a-doodle-doo from Shaun of the Dead.
Oh yeah.
The Tick. I don't know the actor's name.
I liked I was kind of sad to see Jethro go because he kind of had a bit of he kind of reminded me like from Train Spotting. You know what I mean? He kind of had that vibe, to him, right?
I have a goofy little white cat named Jethro that looks just like that kid. So yeah, like I anthropomorphize my pets too much, but like yeah, if like somebody kind of reminds me of one of my cats, I'm like, man, that's fucked up. He killed that.
Yeah, I will say though that really set up the character of the Gospel nicely as this like kind of black cloud that was kind of hanging over the whole story. You know what I mean? Because you knew he was going to come raining down at some point, right? Which he kind of did, but it's like I don't know.
But
they didn't give him his moment, you know.
No, he needed more of a spotlight, I think.
Like a good torture scene or something, you know, just something really like, you know, get a hold of Freddy, just get all, you know.
And I love the interactions between him and his right-hand man, hero. Like,
we talked about how ambiguous the text was.
Yeah.
And then he explains to him I know what that is. Just give me the banter between the two of them back and forth. It was great. Like,
yeah. what was it? Tackled Tony Iwu is what the Iwu. Tackled Tony Iwu.
Yeah.
What's that mean?
Fuck. That's what I love about Guy Ritchie though in his writing is it's like he's got that Tarantino thing as well where it's like their dialogue is so smart and so funny, witty. Know what I mean? Just these little one-liners. Like in the movie, after Charlie Hunnam's character loses Fahak, who jumps and gets whatever.
Jesus, Ray, you gotta
McConaughey's like, you gotta start investing in parachutes or something like that, right? Like
straight up, yeah. Jesus Christ, Ray, you're gonna have to start investing in parachutes because both the Russian kid and then the Fahak.
And then not last, but the next one up is Ray Winston.
Mm-hmm.
He channeled. Then he played the most stoic gangster. Like he channeled. I think definitely channeled. What's his name? The Godfather. Bronson, Charles Bronson. Like
Marlon Brando.
Marlon Brando. Sorry, Marlon Brando. Like just his demeanor. Like when they're sitting and talking in the meat and the way like describes the meat and just every scene with him, he stole every scene he was in. He stole those scenes. Like
what
every single
prison
one.
Is he in though? Like what is his prison? Like it's like he's got like this like personal chef, right? And
they're just spoofing on like how rich people are treated in jail. You know, the super rich. You know, like kind of like they did it in Goodfellas, but I think he's kind of riffing on that a little bit, where they had their own little place where like they were making spaghetti all the time and playing cards, or whatever. Yeah.
But see, that was another tie into the movie too, right? You know, because he's talking about the barbecue. They had like the Wagyu meat.
Yeah.
So he's also telling Eddie to sit down and get his knees underneath the table, right? So if you remember Charlie Hunnam's character in the movie when Hugh Grant wants like a steak or something, right? Then he's got like that grill, and you can sit underneath the grill and kind of warm your feet, kind of thing, right? So that was a nice little tie-in.
Yeah, and his I love his obsession with pigeons.
Yeah, and how he sent him out to get the bid for
the bid, everyone's bid to buy the weed business. Yeah, that was great.
So did you think 8 episodes? That was probably enough, hey?
Yeah, I think it was.
think so, right? It didn't feel long or anything like that. Like,
Nope.
like we talked about the ending, how the ending was kind of, it was what it was, right? It wasn't as like.
I think the people that wrote and directed it, they kind of they understand the way Guy Ritchie ends his movies, but I don't think that they knew how to button it up as well as he does with the way that the irony turns out on all the characters. They tried to do one of his endings, and fair enough approach. You know what I mean? I think that they, for a TV show, they got it done. But like, I think like that's why I kind of wish Guy worked on the end himself too, because I love the way he always buttons up all the characters.
Yeah, he
the way
cleans
that
up a mess really well.
Yeah, at the end of his film. So
He directed the first 2 episodes?
the first 2 episodes, and then wrote the next 2.
All the rest.
No. Then he only wrote the next 2 after the first 2.
The next 2? Okay.
I'm surprised by that. You think he would just kind of run through the whole thing, right? So,
and then I think that they were calling him up and working with him on it, but like not enough to give him a credit as a writer on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or he gave him a treatment of like where he thought it should go, and like they flush it out from there, and like his treatment wasn't enough to get him a writer on, but like it was still based on what he wanted to happen, because like the components were there, they just didn't know how to button it up 100% properly, in my opinion. Which I mean, fair enough, like trying to pull off those ironic twists the way he does so masterfully at the end of his films, like that's why I'm a fan of his. You know what I mean? He inspires me, because each time I don't know if he can outdo himself, and like I think he usually does. You know what I mean? At least with his films. And I think that this show was a fun addition to the Guy Ritchie universe. You know what I mean? I just think that there were a few things that could have been tightened up a little bit, in my personal opinion, as a nitpicky little fanboy.
Yeah.
And going back to the whole Vinnie Jones character, how I was telling Pat, I was like, watch, he's going to be Eddie's father. That's what I thought they were, because I saw it coming. I was like, there's this little flirtatious vibe going on between the mother and him. And then as it was going, I'm like, because he's always by Eddie. Like, he's always right there by Eddie's side every time he needs him. Like, he's like, when they're chasing the guy, all of a sudden he's there and he's like, oh, all right, on it. Like, so I was like, watch him be Eddie's father. That's what I thought. So he kind of tricked me on that one. Yeah.
I wouldn't really say flirtatious, man. The mom just really seemed down for it. He was kind of like, hey, what's up? You're hot, but like, I don't know if I can talk to you. It's kind of the approach I got for the most part. But like, me and my old man were like, he's already watching the dog, so he's probably definitely a shoo-in to at least like get to move into the house afterwards. But then like we found out like that it went further, and yeah, it was cute, man. I liked but I think it'd have been too goofy if he was Eddie's father. I don't think that the gangster dad would have been down with that. Like the youngest daughter's one thing, but like at the second oldest is a
that's what I thought was coming, right? The way it was getting set up and stuff. And the other thing, remember we were talking, we were both on episode 4 or 5 where they burn the weed in the van, and you're like, do you think it's another chick? I was like, no, it's the fucking what's his name's lawyer, the assistant.
That's the thing. I don't understand why they had him in shadows, because that wasn't even a twist. That was so stupid when they did the reveal.
Yeah.
I actually thought they were trying to be clever. I thought it would have been cool if the princess that Eddie kept blowing off was stealing his weed and burning it.
Yeah, that would be kind of better. Yeah.
Trying to get him to pay attention to her. I thought that would be a cute subplot. You know what I mean? Something Guy Ritchie would do. But like, no, it was just the guy you thought it was the whole fucking time in a Scooby-Doo. Like, wow, good twist there, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was kind of my. You were right, Joe. I'm not like I put too much stock into the show, and that's my bad.
Yeah, it's funny though. The mom really did have a thing for Vinnie Jones, even after all these years.
Yeah, she would come up to him and she'd just be like, "How you doing, Jeff?"
She was ready to give the Judi Dench, I tell you.
Yeah, he's just like, Your Grace, and he'd be like, all trying to get away from her because she's just like, "You want to come in the house, huh? Got need help changing the sheets,
Yeah, fuck, man. Vinnie Jones's character was not picking up on any of the signals. Like nothing.
Yeah, she was totally trying to get him into the house, man.
Well, you know how it goes.
And I'm such a big
Yeah.
fan of his anyways, man. If you like Vinnie Jones and you want to see like a really fun role of his, man, check out a movie that he did, a Japanese film called Survive Style 5 Plus. He's like this hard grizzled hitman, and he starts out pretty calm, but like his intensity intensifies as the conversation goes on. And he's got this little Japanese interpreter in this checkered suit that like imitates him perfectly, but he's like translating for him in Japanese. That these two guys should have had like a career together, man. Like fucking funniest comedy duo I'd seen in a long time, dude. Like,
I haven't really kept up much with Vinnie Jones's filmography. I just like, if I look, he probably has got like 1,000 fucking movies, right? Like,
he's been doing a lot of TV, man. Like I'd seen him on TV, and then he did some straight to video stuff with Ron Perlman like a year ago. He was doing some of those, you know what I mean? Some of them are pretty good, man. Like I forget the one. I don't know what it's called, but yeah, I watched one not too long ago with Vinnie Jones and Ron Perlman. It was like a noir movie where like Ron Perlman's gangster kids kill Vinnie Jones's girlfriend, and he's got to get revenge on him. And he dies.
I mean,
so,
I'm looking at the IMDb score here, and it's 8.3 on 10. So it's got a really high score on IMDb. So
that's not surprising me. Like I know the people that watch it will like it. It's just like I don't know if people are watching it. That's the problem with Netflix. They put out so much stuff, and they don't promote really like what they're putting out a lot of the time. So a lot of shit people would be interested in seeing, they kind of don't. They miss. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, man. So, what we doing our final thoughts on it, or do you guys have anything else you wanted to touch on?
Oh, another thing about Ray Winston's hella funny is after I finished watching Gentleman.
Oh, you watched Damsel?
Damsel, and he's like there in his fucking his German fucking king outfit, and he's just like, they took my baby, and I'm just like, oh, like I love Ray Winston as like this big movie star, at least on Netflix, and like got him playing kings and shit in fantasy films because like I'm here for it. I love him as random gritty Brit gangster, but like just seeing him as weird like nobility and like fantasy films is great too, man.
That was weird seeing that trailer because it played right after the last episode of Gentleman, right? And just to see the fucking hair, I'm like, oh no.
Yeah,
it was just a bad segue. Fuck it all. Yeah.
He's great in it. And it's a fun little movie. I highly recommend checking out Damsel if you want to watch like a pretty fun like action movie, like a daughter maybe. Like
yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah. What else was the other thing? Sexy Beast he was in. I remember that.
Yeah, Sexy Beast is great.
Great opening scene with him where he's like just hot and he's talking about how hot he is, just baking in his son.
Burning up here.
Yeah. And he used Mr. French in the Departed.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
He does the voice in Beowulf.
Yeah.
Well, they actually CGI'd his head on like some kind of buffer guy's body, but like he did like for that. That was good.
I love that movie. Crispin Glover does the Grendel.
Angelina Jolie.
Jolie does the mother. Yeah, exactly. I like that one. It was pretty good.
And not a bad Beowulf. It's almost as good as the Christopher Lambert one that takes place in the future. But yeah, man.
I remember when Ray Winston was in Black Widow.
Oh, that's right. He was the bad guy in the sky, right? Yeah.
The Red Room. What a fucking waste, man. I felt so bad for him. It was just like, come on.
I'm happy that at least what's her name? Olga Kurylenko's Taskmaster is going to be in Thunderbolts. Hopefully they could rebound her character like they did with well, dude, they fixed Baron Zemo's lame ass character in that Falcon and the Winter Soldier show. I mean, I hated him in Civil War.
Man, I'm telling you, I don't know. Come on, I don't know how you're gonna fix fucking that Taskmaster. It's not even Taskmaster.
I like the actress though, Olga Kurylenko.
She's fine. She's fine. She's not a Taskmaster. I mean, let's fucking call it right. Like, I mean, it's not even close to what Taskmaster is in the comics. It's like not even fucking close, right? I mean, like, you know, like he should be a dude with like banter, like you know, like almost like a Deadpool type, you know, in terms of like delivery with monologue and shit like that. Like I just
it'd be one thing if they at least used her skill set and gave it to Echo, because like that would be the one thing that I always hear people say about the character Echo is she's a rip off of Taskmaster. But then like they changed Taskmaster's skill set and then they changed Echo's too. So like nobody has that fucking skill set.
yeah, no, like I said with Taskmaster, apart from like his like how he mimics whatever powers now, it's just his dialogue. It's fucking funny. Like that one series, that 5-issue run was pretty good. It was pretty funny.
Dude, did you ever read the Danny Way crossover with Thunderbolts and Deadpool, where like Deadpool hires Taskmaster to help him fight the Thunderbolts, and man, he's like telling him, Taskmaster, you sound like an infomercial from the maker of the, and he's like, hey, wait, you're crossing the line with me, and he's like, yeah, from the maker of the Line Master comes Taskmaster. Oh, it's really good shit, dude. Like,
see, it's funny though. It's like they could have built up if they would have done Taskmaster proper. You could have then then all of a sudden like you're like people would be like egging to have that character meet up with Deadpool, right? You know what I mean? Like you have something to look forward to now. But it's like
because they had good rapport in the comics. In my opinion.
Nobody on fucking planet Earth right now is looking forward to a live action Taskmaster and Deadpool meet up, right?
Well,
nobody. I haven't met that guy yet.
She can't talk in the MCU, right?
I was just like, yeah, I don't know, man. She looks like fucking James Franco at the end of Spider-Man 3, right? It's like,
oh man, that's good. Oh, thank you, Adrian. But yeah, last thoughts on Gentlemen. Definitely check it out, man. Like I said, it's a great addition to the Guy Ritchie universe. If you're a fan of the film, you'll like it. If you're a fan of just random gritty Brit flicks in general, definitely check it out, man. Like if you like Nick Love movies or like Danny Boyle's like lighter-hearted stuff, or maybe even the more hardcore stuff, And
you don't need to see the movie. Like I feel like you don't need to whatever. You can just like jump right into it.
Yeah, none of the characters cross over at all, so you don't have to worry about like, oh, who's this guy? Like they're all new to the show. So and
honestly, it'll make you a fan of Theo James. Really, like I've been watching like interviews with him and all that, and I never cared for him before. I always thought he was a very vanilla type kind of actor, and I didn't hate him or love him, and but yeah, I thought he was really good. I just love how stoic Edwina was really throughout this whole
I thought that was so funny. They fucking called him that the whole movie, and he was the buff tough guy brother, and like they were the fucking kind of the sister and the kind of fuck up brother. And like they were calling him Edwina. Like that's actually sibling stuff. And he never got mad at him about it too. He never even registered with him. He just shut up.
And like, when they went to check out the Adolf Hitler paintings, and he was just fucking just like just completely like bashing it too, right? Like he could give a fuck, right? There's a little bit of arrogance to him,
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, like he was gonna write off most anything weird that guy was into, but he had to be a Nazi. You know what I mean? That was just the fucking bridge that like you're not gonna be able to fucking cross with anybody, in my opinion. And
yeah. But I should have known his servant girl. That was like a dead giveaway. It should have clicked right away when I saw her. Yes. Yeah.
She had bangs.
The haircut. Yeah, she had bangs, the dark hair. Expressionless. I mean, it was a dead giveaway. I didn't pick up on it at all.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Straight to the bangs. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a girl who's completely emotionless with jet black hair and bangs.
Stay
fucking
Nazi.
Away. Nazi.
Away. Yeah. She's
fucking Nazi.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, my closing comments would be I'll echo Adrian. You don't have to see The Gentleman or any of Guy Ritchie's movies. If you have, it'll just enhance the experience, right? Because there's a lot of nods to a lot of his other works. So, but that's the only thing you'll get out of it if you really want to watch his other stuff before this. But otherwise, it's completely enjoyable, just on its own. So, I definitely highly recommend you go watch this.
It's fantastic. It caters to both fans and non-fans. Really, it's it's neutral ground. Really.
Yeah, definitely justifies its 8.3 rating on IMDb.
That's pretty good rating, actually. I'm actually
Yeah, because IMDb is pretty
kinda
tough
surprised.
rating.
Yeah. No, that's good. So, but again, too, depending what viewership is, yeah, I'm pretty well sure that this is all we're going to see for this series.
And I'm okay with that, man. To tell you the truth, I would
Yeah,
have liked.
It's fine. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you just gotta just like end it that way, right? It's like I'm always kind of worried about the bear, because they announced season 4, right? And season 3 isn't
Yeah.
out until I think June or July, right? And so, man, fuck, there's gonna be some point where it's just gonna kind of.
I'm hoping 4 is the last one. I could see it going to 4. That's about as long as I'd really want to see it.
You got to end it early, like Succession, right? End it early. I know, Joe, you didn't really care for how that played out.
I didn't watch the fourth season.
I don't think you saw the end. Yeah.
No, I haven't watched it. I'll watch it probably one day when I'm completely bored out of my mind. I'll watch season 4. I did watch 2 episodes on the plane, though.
It was good. I liked it. It was a good series. It ended just right.
So you got any last words, Adrian?
Last words. I don't know. Fuck, you got me on the spot now. What do I?
Well, now plug your. Let's plug your Kickstarter and all that, man.
All right. So my book, The Sitter, has a Kickstarter that kicks off April 2nd. It starts at 6 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, and I say it's going to run for 30 days, but fuck, I keep wanting to do 2 weeks. Just get in and out, smash and grab, right? Make my $1,500 limit, and then just get the fuck out of there, right? So anyway, so it's 1 issue right now, 38 pages, mature readers only. Yeah.
And you're going to want to read this book. I mean, we've talked about it a little bit. We're going to be making like an official video for Kickstarter. I'll probably put it up on the channel if Adrian says it's okay too.
Yeah, do what you want. That's awesome. Yeah, because we're going to use it on the Kickstarter, right, in the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
That's the goal, right?
Yeah, that's the plan. I'm trying to get it done, and yeah, it's a fun project. So like I like the ideas me and Joe have. And I wanted to say this earlier on, but I kind of forgot. I'm hell of ecstatic, man, to say this. Our buddy Richard Lolisher's Kickstarter actually ended up funding after our episode. I'm not saying that there's any causation or correlation with our interview with him, but like I'm just ecstatic that his book funded because like it's a fun book and it deserves to be.
Yeah, I backed it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So
he was at the 50-yard line with 2 days left, and. The Hail Mary was caught in the end zone. Let's just say that.
I love a couple of Kickstarters now. That's been like, you thought they're like dead, right? And just fucking all of a sudden, boom, Yeah. So it's good to see. It's good to see, especially now with this landscape of like, creators coming out basically like talking about not getting paid and just just what a bullshit kind of system it really is, right? So it's good to see. It's good to see. So support your Kickstarters.
Yeah, man, especially for good, talented, cool creators. So yeah, Raymond Lolisher, we're thrilled for you, man. We're happy you stuck with it, man. Because like when I was telling Joe, like when you were gonna come on, I was like, man, like I'm really happy you funded, man, and I'm glad you stuck with it, man. You came on and talked, had a good time with us, man. So right on, and. We'll be back next week. I have no idea what we're going to talk about, but Wednesday night I did an episode of Phono that I'm kind of proud of, man. We talked about a pretty sensitive subject, and I think we covered it pretty well. We talked about the dark side of the camera or whatever it is, that Nickelodeon
controversy.
Yeah.
We covered that whole thing, and I think that we covered with some pretty good maturity, you know what I mean? Especially with that crowd. So yeah, I highly recommend checking out that episode. I think I made some good points. I think Saint was really on point, Cookie was on point. So yeah.
I can't believe that story came out, it's like, again, too, I think I've said it before, just fucking stay away from the boys. Stay away from them. Just like, these fucking guys, man. Like
yeah. Stay away from the kids, period. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, okay. Sorry. Stay from the kids.
Yeah, I know what you meant, man. I just was being a little more articulate.
It's like, there's like old ladies or old guys that are lonely and that, just fucking give them companionship, Fuck.
Yeah.
Adopt. Don't
Who knows?
shop.
You might get an old man hog coming at you.
From
Like in The Gentleman.
Yeah. Oh, dude. It's not the pick I would have chose, that's for sure, man. I love Colin Farrell in that. I wasn't actually really that huge of a fan of his. I liked him in Bruges. I liked him in Horrible Bosses, but it was really him as the coach in The Gentleman that made me like a fan of his. I think I still held the Daredevil movie against him, man. In honesty, man.
I watched the Ben Affleck Daredevil not too long ago. Fucking Farrell was awesome in it. His bullseye was pretty funny. Like, I gotta admit,
that movie isn't half as bad as people make it out to be.
It's not. It's like, and that's why, like, I'm looking forward to Madam Web.
Oh, dude, you'll love Madam Web.
I'm sure. Well, it's funny.
Your sense of humor, like,
it's just the villain. I really just didn't like the villain. The antagonist was Pat too. We were watching it. She's like, I don't like it when he talks.
Madam Web's not the kind of movie you watch because of the villain or the heroes, man. It's because it's fucking dumb, and the situations and the things the characters do are hilarious in it. Like, they let Day drive ambulances in it, man. Day from Next Friday. I kept expecting them to be like, man, they ain't 20s, they 10s, but I keep them clean. And I'm like, man, they let Mike Epps drive fucking ambulances, but and I like the casting, man. Like Adam Scott as Ben Parker. I always thought he should have played Peter Parker. He was always my casting choice because I was a big Party Down fan, and a lot of his other comedy from a couple years, like a decade ago. And I'm like, he'd be great as Peter Parker. But like, at least somebody thought so.
I will say though, it's like whenever a movie is about to come out or comes out, and there's so much spite and hatred and all that, I find I'm more into that movie. You know what I mean? It's like it's like the mid 90s, the bar's about to close, and just like the uglies are left. You know what I mean? And you're just like, right? That's kind of what it is for me. So it's like, I'll probably enjoy
Madam Web. Wait a minute.
I love Morbius, right?
Okay. Let's back it up. So does that mean if you're still there, you're one of the uglies?
Yeah. Are you like to party with the uglies? Because the uglies like to party, man, and they have fun.
If you're able to witness it, I think.
It's been good. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Adrian's giving us the wrap it up, guys.